Hey guys, here showing you a video on how to replace a head gasket on your 2000 Honda Civic. You'll have to excuse me, I'm battling allergies. This engine is a D16y7. This is a non-VTEC engine. This procedure will be extremely similar for all D-series engines from back to 1987 or so. The procedure is almost the same. As you can see, I've already started working on this some. The first things you will want to do before even starting is to drain the coolant and to drain the oil. After you've done that, you'll want to go on ahead and take off the valve cover the valve cover, which I've done already. You can do that by pulling all four of the spark plug wires out. Then there are 5 bolts on top of the engine. Take those 5 bolts out and pull the valve cover off, and you can set that to the side. The next thing you will want to do is to remove the distributor. This one's already off, but this is where it would be at right here. There's a 12 millimeter bolt here, a 12 millimeter bolt here, and a 12 millimeter bolt on the back. Before you take it off, make sure you either use whiteout or inscribe across the top of this one here so you don't lose your ignition timing. If you've already taken it off, don't worry, because it's easy to set the ignition timing again. After you've pulled those 3 out, you want to go ahead and wiggle the distributor a little bit, and it'll just pull right out. At that point, you can go ahead and disconnect the connector from the distributor as well. When you get the distributor off, you'll notice that there will be 2 connectors underneath the distributor. One is a coolant temperature sensor connector. It's attached to the side of the head. Go ahead and disconnect that now. And there's also an oil pressure connector that looks like this. You can go ahead and disconnect that as well. There will also be a coolant hose, looks like this, that goes into the side of the head. You can go ahead and take that off as well and just set it off to the side. Now, some guys like to keep the intake manifold attached to the head when they pull the head off. I'm going to try my best to not do that. That way you don't have to disconnect the fuel rail, fuel injectors, the air intake, and all that other stuff that's attached to the intake manifold. This way we're going to try to leave that in the car, as well as the exhaust manifold. You leave that in the car. You just disconnect everything from the head, so that way you can unbolt the head and take it off. So after you've done that, you'll want to go ahead and take off your upper radiator hose. Just go ahead and take it off completely, and then you can move to the power steering pump, which you probably can see I already have zip tied up here on the side over here. You can see the pulley right there. This is what you will want to do as well. That way you don't have to disconnect the high pressure line and have power steering fluid leaking all over the place. All you want to do is disconnect it and just zip tie it up, or tie it up with whatever you got, a shoestring, bungee cords, anything like that will work. There are only 2 bolts that hold that on. There is one bolt that's right here on the top. You can probably see it. That's a 12 millimeter bolt. You will go ahead and disconnect and take that out. There's also another bolt that would go through the bottom. If you're looking from here, right where I'm pointing at, if the power steering pump was here, there is another bolt, 12 millimeter bolt, that adjusts the tension of the belt for the power steering pump. You'll go ahead and pull that one out. So keep in mind, there's only 2 bolts holding on the power steering pump. One on the bottom and this one right here on the top. So you go ahead and take those out. Just pull the power steering pump up and out of the way. Now the next thing you'll want to do is to take out your dipstick so that you can get to the upper timing cover bolt. There are 2 10 millimeter bolts that you will need to remove to get the upper timing cover off. This will give you access to the cam gear, which you will need to obviously take off the timing belt so that you can remove the head. So there's one bolt here, 10 millimeter, and there's another one in the back. They're both in line with each other. So there's one here straight across, there's one on the other side. After you loosen those up, you go ahead and take off the timing cover and just set it to the side. Now you'll be looking at an exposed cam gear and the timing belt. Now what you will need to do is, well, you could do this one of two ways. You can set the car to top dead center now. You would do that by rotating the crank pulley around until cylinder number 1 is at its highest point. This is cylinder number 1 right here. You will notice there will be marks on the crankshaft. Down at the bottom there are white marks that you will want to line up. However, that is not entirely necessary at this point, because what I like to do is to just pull it apart now. Then I set the motor to top dead center before putting the head back on, because it's easier to see where the piston's at, because you can physically see the piston. So in this case, I'm not going to set it at top dead center, and I don't suggest that you set it at top dead center right now and try to, you know, get everything lined up perfect, because when you do pull this off, I guarantee the cam gear is going to move a little bit, or the timing belt is going to move some. So it's best to just set top dead center when you're ready to install the head back on. So at this point here, you'll want to go on ahead and take the timing belt. You can just slide it off the side of the cam gear here. Remember, don't worry about your timing, because you're going to set it, you know, at the end when you get done, when you're ready to put it back on. You can just slip it off and leave it off, and then just push it up to the side wherever you can get it to stay, as for now. So we're pretty much close, or getting close to where we need to start taking off the bolts for the intake manifold and the exhaust manifold. The next thing you will want to do is to remove this airbox lid up here. It's not necessary, but it helps you to see the one bolt that's behind the intake manifold you need to get to. There's just 4 clips, this one, and then there's 2 on the back. You can lift this off. This over here, just grab the pipe here and over here on the end, and just pull it straight off that. Set it to the side. So this is what you'll be looking at. The next thing you'll want to do is remove this exhaust heat shield here. There's 2 12mm bolts right here. Okay, there's only 2 holding it on. Now at this point you may notice that your O2 sensor is in the way. What I like to do is just take the O2 sensor out. You would use a tool like this. Take out the O2 sensor. It just slips around the O2 sensor, and so that way you can just remove it. Alternatively, if you cannot get a hold of this, or you do not want to pull out the O2 sensor for whatever reason, you can simply disconnect the O2 sensor over here from its connector, and then just lift this off and, you know, feed the wire out like so. So here you'll be looking at the exhaust manifold and the bolts that need to come off, but I'll go ahead and make that in another video. Stay tuned for part 2 of this, and that should be the only video we would need. If you guys like this, please feel free to hit the subscribe button and also share this video. Thank you.